The Great Mother watches over you. May the hands of Isis knit this flesh. May Horus protect the blood.
Hey guys, tonight we drift softly into the sun-baked world of ancient Egypt. A land where the river breathes slowly, where stone remembers footsteps, and where time itself seems to move at the pace of the Nile's gentle current. Find a comfortable position, let your shoulders fall heavy, let your breathing slow, and allow the outside world to fade like torchlight at dawn. If you enjoy these quiet journeys through the past, you can like and subscribe, and leave a comment sharing where you are listening from and what time it is there. But for now, there is nothing you need to do at all. Just listen, just rest. Tonight we follow one man through a single ordinary day, not a king, not a god, but a healer. A doctor of ancient Egypt trained in words, wounds, spells, and smells, walking softly between science and belief, between observation and magic. From the pale blue light before sunrise to the deep indigo hush of night, we will stay with him. As he wakes, works streets, listens, doubts, and hopes, moving gently through a world of papyrus walls, clay jars, murmured prayers, and human pain. There is no rush here. The day will unfold as it always has, slowly, patiently, like the river itself. Before the sun breaks free of the eastern horizon, the air is cool, almost kind, carrying the damp sweetness of the Nile mixed with mud, lotus, and distant smoke from cooking, fires that never truly go out. Our doctor wakes on a low wooden bed, linen sheet lightly wrapped around him. His body stiff from yesterday's work, his hands already smelling faintly of honey and resin even before the day begins. He is not young, but not yet old, his hair cropped close, his eyes accustomed to reading both flesh and fate. He rises quietly, washes his hands and face in a shallow bowl, the water cool, the touch grounding, and whispers a short prayer, not because he doubts his own skill, but because in Egypt skill and prayer walk side by side. He knows the words passed down from teachers long gone, words preserved in ink on papyrus, words that promise protection from unseen forces that cause illness just as surely as a blade. Causes are wound. As dawn stretches thin fingers of gold across the river, he steps outside, sandals brushing packed earth, and breathes in the morning. Birds call softly, a boat slides past, oars dipping without splash. Somewhere nearby, a woman laughs, already awake, already alive to the day. The doctor pauses, not in hurry, because his work will come to him soon enough. He reviews the day ahead in his mind, not as a list, but as a feeling, knowing there will be fevers, old pains, infected cuts, prayers whispered by mothers, and the quiet dignity of people who hope more than anything not for miracles, but for relief. By the time the sun has climbed just above the palms, the first patient arrives, a farmer with a wrapped hand, the linen already darkened with dried blood. The doctor leads him inside, the room dim, cool, lined with shelves holding jars of crushed herbs, natron, fat, resins, and powders whose names are older than memory. He unwraps the hand slowly, respectfully, revealing a cut from a sickle, edges angry and red. There is no panic, He has seen this many times. He cleans the wound with beer, thick and sour, trusted for its cleansing power, then applies a paste of honey and grease, humming softly as he works. Honey, he knows, keeps rot away, even if he cannot name the reason. It simply works, and in Egypt, what works is truth enough. As he binds the hand, he murmurs a protective spell, not loudly, not dramatically, but like a habit. Like breathing, the farmer listens, comforted, not because he understands the words, but because someone is taking care. Payment is small, a loaf of bread, a bit of dried fish. Gratitude expressed with a bowed head. The doctor accepts it without comment. He is respected, but he is not rich. His wealth is knowledge, and knowledge in this world is both powerful and fragile. The morning continues like a slow river current patience. Arriving one by one, a child with a fever burning behind wide eyes. A laborer with an aching back stiff from years of carrying stone. An elderly woman whose cough rattles deep and wet. For the child, he consults memory, recalling lines from the Ebers Papyrus that describe cooling the body, balancing heat with poultices and rest. He mixes crushed willow, not knowing it will one day be called medicine by another name, only knowing that it eases pain. For the laborer, he massages with oil warmed in the sun, pressing carefully, listening to the body as much as the man's words. For the cough, he prepares a drink of honey and herbs, bitter but soothing, and instructs patience. The hardest prescription of all. As the sun rises higher, the room grows warmer, the smell of herbs thickening in the air. A layered scent of sweetness, bitterness, and earth. Flies buzz lazily, brushed away with a hand, and the doctor's voice remains steady, low, almost hypnotic. A rhythm that calms even those who fear what their bodies are doing without permission. He is not a miracle worker. He knows this. Some will not recover. Some will worsen. But he does what he can. And in ancient Egypt, doing what you can is a sacred duty. By mid-morning, a messenger arrives, breathless, bringing word of an injury at a nearby work site. The doctor gathers his tools, a simple kit of knives, linen, salves, and words, and follows. The path is dusty now, heat rising from the ground, cicadas beginning their endless song. At the site, a man lies on his side, blood pooling dark against sand, his leg crushed by a falling stone. The doctor kneels, examines carefully, fingers gentle, eyes sharp. He remembers the teachings of the Edwin Smith Papyrus, cases described plainly, without spells, injuries observed, categorized, judged. This, he knows, is serious. He speaks quietly, instructs others to hold the man still, and does what can be done, binding, cleaning, easing pain with opium and beer. He does not promise recovery. He promises care. As the sun reaches its highest point, the heat becomes heavy, pressing down like a hand on the back of the neck. Work slows. People retreat into shade. The doctor returns home. It's a simple meal, bread dipped in oil, onions sharp and strong, believed to cure almost everything, and perhaps they do, in their own way. He rests briefly, lying still, listening to the distant water, the hum of insects, letting his body recover so he can continue. This is not idleness. This is survival. Even healers must heal themselves. And so the day pauses, balanced on the edge of noon, before drifting onward once more. The heat of midday slowly loosens its grip as the sun begins its gradual descent, and our doctor rises again. From his brief rest joints creaking softly like old wood, breath steady, mind clear in that particular way that comes only after silence. Outside, the air still shimmers, but shadows have begun to stretch, thin and patient, creeping across walls and paths as if time itself has decided to slow even further. He washes his hands once more, a ritual as old as habit, rubbing away sleep and dust, and steps back into the quiet expectation of the afternoon, where different ailments now emerge. The ones that wait until pain becomes too persistent to ignore. A young woman arrives first, guided by her mother, her steps careful, her face pale beneath the sun-darkened skin. She is with child, far along, and fear clings to her like a second garment. The doctor listens more than he speaks, his ears tuned not just to words, but to breathing, posture, the way her hands cradle her belly. He recalls the teachings preserved in the Kahun gynecological papyrus, instructions written centuries before his birth, methods to assess fertility, pregnancy, complications, all observed and recorded with quiet seriousness. He examines gently, never rushing, applying warm oil, murmuring reassurances that carry as much weight as any remedy. He prepares a small amulet, not because it replaces knowledge, but because belief itself eases tension, and tension is an enemy during birth. When they leave, the woman walks a little steadier, not cured, but comforted, and that, in many cases, is the first medicine. The afternoon continues, with a rhythm softer than morning, fewer patients, but stories heavier. A fisherman with a festering wound from a crocodile's teeth comes next, the edges torn, the smell unmistakable, sharp and wrong. The doctor cleans the wound carefully, aware that some injuries carry more than visible damage. He packs it with honey, thick and golden, presses linen soaked in resin against it, and chants quietly, invoking protection from infection, from spirits, from whatever unseen forces might linger in river water and flesh alike. Crocodiles are sacred and feared, and wounds from them feel different, heavier with meaning. He works without judgment, without haste, hands steady despite the knowledge that even the best care may not be enough. As shadows lengthen further, a scribe arrives, complaining of headaches and blurred vision, symptoms subtle but persistent. The doctor listens, nods, and suggests rest. Darkness, compresses soaked in cooling herbs. He knows the strain of long hours bent over papyrus, eyes narrowed, mind tense. Not all ailments plead, some whisper. He advises moderation, though he knows advice is easier given than followed. Still, the words matter. They always do. Before he drifts off to sleep, he takes a moment to clean his hands one last time, rubbing away the remnants of the day. Some scents still linger, hints of honey, resin, and smoke that tell stories of his busy hours. As he lies down, his body feels tired, but his mind is calm, soaking in the distant sounds of life settling into the night. You can hear a baby crying. Somewhere, a dog barking in the distance, and the soothing rhythm of water gently lapping against stone. The doctor closes his eyes, feeling a sense of trust that dawn will come again, that the river will continue to flow, and that people will need him once more. It's a comforting thought, knowing that his work matters, and honestly, that's enough to bring him peace as he drifts off, ready to face whatever tomorrow brings. Isn't it amazing how the world keeps turning, even in the quiet moments? Here, knowledge isn't just something you read about. It's something you live and breathe every day. It's tested against the fragile human bodies that walk through his door, each one a unique story. Just think about it, every patient is a new puzzle, a fresh challenge that keeps him on his toes. It's this constant dance of learning and healing that makes his work so incredibly rewarding, don't you think? As twilight approaches, a neighbor calls for help. A child burned by a cooking fire, skin blistered and raw. The doctor responds immediately, fatigue set aside without ceremony. He cools the burn, applies a paste of milk and herbs, speaks softly to distract from pain. The child's cries fade to whimpers, then to exhausted silence. The mother's gratitude is wordless, eyes shining in the dimming light. The doctor accepts it with a nod, feeling the familiar mix of relief and sadness that comes from easing suffering, without erasing it entirely. Night begins its slow descent, the sky deepening from gold to purple to the first hints of blue-black. Oil lamps flicker to life, shadows dancing once more on papyrus walls, echoing the morning but softer now, heavier with the weight of the day. The doctor eats again, a modest meal, savoring simple flavors, grounding himself in the ordinary. He steps outside briefly, looking toward the river, its surface reflecting stars, its voice constant, eternal. He thinks of the patients he helped, the ones he could not, the ones he will see again tomorrow. There is no grand conclusion, no sense of completion, only continuity. Before he drifts off to sleep, he takes a moment to clean his hands one last time, rubbing away the remnants of the day. Some scents still linger, hints of honey, resin, and smoke that tell stories of his busy hours. As he lies down, his body feels tired, but his mind is calm, soaking in the distant sounds of life settling into the night. You can hear a baby crying somewhere, a dog barking in the distance, and the soothing rhythm of water gently lapping against stone. The doctor closes his eyes, feeling a sense of trust that dawn will come again, that the river will continue to flow, and that people will need him once more. It's a comforting thought, knowing that his work matters, and honestly, that's enough to bring him peace as he drifts off, ready to face whatever tomorrow brings. Isn't it amazing how the world keeps turning, even in the quiet moments? Night settles fully now, not suddenly, but the way it always does in this land, slowly, deliberately, like a soft cloth being drawn over the world. The last warmth of the sun lingers in the stones and walls, releasing itself in gentle waves, while the sky above deepens into a calm, endless blue scattered with quiet stars. Our doctor sleeps lightly at first, his body still holding echoes of the day, muscles remembering movements, hands recalling textures of skin, linen, and clay. His breathing evens out as the night grows cooler, as the world exhales with him. In ancient Egypt, night is never truly silent. The Nile continues its steady murmur. Frogs begin their low chorus. Insects hum in patterns older than memory. Somewhere beyond the reach of sight, a boat moves slowly along the water, its oars dipping with a rhythm that seems designed to soothe rather than hurry. The doctor turns slightly in his sleep, not disturbed, but aware on some deeper level that the world continues even as he rests. He dreams, though the dreams are faint and unformed, images blending into one another. Faces of patients dissolving into reeds, papyrus pages drifting like leaves upon the river. Before dawn, there is a moment when the darkness feels thickest, when even the stars seem to pause. This is the hour when spirits are believed to move most freely, when illness and healing are closest together. The doctor wakes briefly, as many do, eyes opening to the dim interior of his room. The small glow of embers in a clay brazier casting barely their light. He listens. Nothing is wrong. No urgent knock. No cry for help. He closes his eyes again, comforted by the ordinary sounds of night. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, the darkness loosens its grip. The air shifts. The insects quiet. Birds stir. The Nile reflects a pale line along the horizon, hinting at what is to come. The doctor wakes for the second time, this time fully, feeling the familiar pull of another day. He rises slowly, stretching, aware of stiffness, but also of purpose. He washes, the water cool against his skin, and steps outside as the first light touches the tops of palms and the edges of stone. This is the beginning again, and also the continuation. In ancient Egypt, days do not stand alone. They flow into one another like the river itself, each one shaped by what came before, each one carrying traces of the last. The doctor does not think of his life as remarkable. He does not imagine that centuries later, others might wonder how he lived, what he knew, how he balanced herbs and spells, observation and belief. He simply does what is needed, because it is needed. As dawn fully breaks, people begin to move. Fires are stirred. Bread is baked. Voices rise softly in greeting. Somewhere nearby, someone wakes with pain, with fear, with hope. And the doctor will be there, walking the same paths, opening the same jars, speaking the same quiet words that have been spoken for generations. And so we leave him here, not at an ending, but at a pause, standing at the edge of another day in a world both distant and deeply familiar. The Nile flows on. The sun climbs once more, and the work of healing continues, unbroken, unhurried, eternal. The morning grows warmer now, not abruptly, but in layers, as if the sun is remembering how strong it can be and testing the air gently. Before committing fully, our doctor walks again through familiar paths, feet knowing each uneven stone without thought, body moving on memory alone. The scent of baking bread drifts from nearby homes, mixed with smoke, river dampness, and the faint sharpness of crushed herbs already warming in jars. This is the hour when the day opens its arms, when ailments arrive wrapped in politeness and patience, when hope feels freshest because the light is still soft. The first patient today is an older man, skin creased like dried papyrus, eyes bright despite the years. He complains of pain in his chest, a heaviness that comes and goes like an unwelcome visitor. The doctor listens, hand resting lightly against the man's wrist, feeling the rhythm beneath the skin. slow, irregular, thoughtful. He knows there are limits to what can be seen and understood. But he also knows patterns, repetitions recorded long ago. He prepares a mixture of herbs meant to ease the breath, murmurs words meant to calm the heart, advises rest and gentle movement. There is no promise. There is only care offered honestly. Later comes a woman whose joints ache with the memory of seasons spent grinding grain. Her fingers are swollen, stiff, reluctant to obey her wishes. The doctor warms oil in the sun, massages carefully, pressing not just muscle, but years of strain. He speaks little. The rhythm of his hands is enough. Pain does not always need explanation. Sometimes it only needs acknowledgement. As the morning deepens, a messenger from the temple arrives, requesting the doctor's presence. A priest has fallen ill, fevered, his words tangled, his eyes unfocused. The doctor follows, stepping into cooler stone halls where incense hangs heavy and shadows cling to columns. He examines the priest, notes the heat of his skin, the dryness of his mouth. Fever is a familiar enemy. He applies cooling compresses, offers liquids mixed with herbs, and recites protective spells that align healing with divine order. In this place, medicine and ritual are inseparable threads of the same cloth. The hours drift by, measured not by clocks, but by the angle of light and the shifting tone of sound outside. The doctor's voice remains calm, steady, a constant presence amid uncertainty. Even when remedies fail, the manner of their delivery matters. Gentleness is its own kind of treatment. As noon approaches again, the heat settles heavily, pressing the world into stillness. The doctor returns home. Eats sparingly, rests briefly, listening to the river breathe. His mind wanders, not far, just enough to release tension. He thinks of his teachers, of papyri copied and recopied, of knowledge carried forward not in grand leaps, but in careful steps. When he rises again, refreshed just enough, the day waits patiently, ready to offer more stories, more fragile bodies, more quiet moments of connection. The afternoon unfolds the way linen does when it is shaken gently in the sun, slowly, without sharp folds, each moment easing into the next. Heat still rests upon the land, but it has softened, no longer pressing down with the same insistence. Shadows deepen along walls and doorways, offering refuge, and the air carries a quieter tone, as though even the insects have agreed to lower their voices. Our doctor steps back into the flow of work with unhurried steps, feeling the familiar balance return to his body, that steady place where effort and calm meet. A group of workers arrives together, dust still clinging to their legs, voices low, respectful. One among them has injured his foot, a nail driven deep through the sole, now swollen and angry. The doctor sits him down, washes the wound carefully, his hands practiced, movements economical yet gentle. He knows the danger of such injuries, how rot can creep inward unseen. He applies honey again, that golden constant of Egyptian medicine, mixes it with crushed herbs, whose bitterness lingers on the tongue, and binds the foot tightly, but not cruelly. He instructs rest, a difficult order for a laborer, but necessary. The man nods, grateful, resigned, understanding that healing often demands patience more than bravery. As they leave, Another patient enters quietly, almost hesitantly, a young man, eyes downcast, voice barely above a whisper. His trouble is not visible, not easily named. He speaks of exhaustion, of dreams filled with unease, of a heaviness that settles in his chest without warning. The doctor listens without interruption. In this world, such ailments are often understood as imbalances, disturbances of spirit as much as body. He prepares a calming draught, speaks words meant to restore harmony, suggests time near the river, where the steady movement of water can realign the mind. The young man leaves lighter, not cured, but seen. The afternoon light shifts again, becoming warmer, richer, touching everything with gold. The doctor pauses briefly between patients, wiping his hands, stretching his fingers, looking out toward the Nile. Boats pass slowly, sails catching the breeze, carrying goods, people, stories. Life moves on whether one is watching or not, and there is comfort in that. Another call comes, this time from a household where an elderly woman has taken ill suddenly. The doctor walks there, greeted by worried faces, hushed voices. He examines her carefully, notes her shallow breathing, the coolness of her skin. He knows this pattern too. He offers comfort more than cure, easing her pain, speaking softly to both her and her family. In moments like these, medicine becomes something quieter, less about fixing and more about accompanying. The family listens, grateful for his presence, for the way his calm steadies their fear. As the sun lowers further, the doctor returns once more to his space, tidying, preparing, letting the day settle around him. He eats a small meal, drinks water, feels fatigue spreading through his limbs like a slow tide. Yet there is also a quiet satisfaction, not pride, but acceptance. He has done what he could. Evening approaches gently, bringing cooler air, longer shadows, and the sense that the day is preparing to close its eyes. The doctor remains available, alert to the possibility of sudden need. But he also allows himself moments of stillness, listening to the world soften around him. Evening arrives the way a breath finally leaves the lungs, slow and relieving, the heat easing its hold, the sky fading through shades of copper and rose before settling into softer tones. Our doctor feels the change immediately, as if his body has been waiting for this moment all day. The air cools against his skin, carrying with it the scent of water plants and distant cooking fires, and the world seems to relax its shoulders. This is the hour when urgency gives way to reflection, when footsteps grow quieter and voices lower themselves without being asked. A final patient comes just as the light begins to thin. A boy no more than 10, guided by his older sister. He has been stung by a scorpion while playing. Near the riverbank, the small puncture already swelling, pain pulsing in waves. The doctor works quickly but calmly, his movements precise, drawing out what he can, applying poultices known to soothe venom, murmuring protective words that have been spoken over such wounds. For centuries, the boy's breathing steadies as the pain lessens, fear giving way to exhaustion. His sister watches every movement, memorizing calm through observation. When they leave, dusk has fully claimed the land. Lamps flicker to life one by one, small islands of warmth in gathering darkness. The doctor cleans his tools, rinsing them carefully, respecting the objects that serve him as much as he serves others. He arranges jars, straightens papyrus rolls, restoring order not because it is required, but because it feels right. Order, in this world, is not just practical, it is sacred. He steps outside once more, drawn by the quiet. The Nile reflects the first stars, its surface broken only by gentle ripples. Somewhere nearby, a flute plays softly, a melody drifting without destination. The doctor stands still, letting the sound pass through him, feeling the weight of the day settle into memory. There is tiredness, yes, but also continuity. Today was not exceptional, and that is its beauty. As night deepens, he returns inside, eats lightly, and prepares for rest. He washes his hands again. Though the water can no longer remove the faint traces of herbs and resin, some things linger. He lies down, body grateful for stillness, mind gradually quieting. Outside, the world continues its low murmur, life folding in on itself, preparing for another dawn. And here, in this soft ending, the day completes its circle. The ancient Egyptian doctor sleeps, trusting that the river will keep flowing, that the sun will rise again, that people will wake with needs both old and new. And when they do, he will rise too, ready to walk once more between knowledge and mystery, between suffering and care, as countless healers have done before and after him. Quietly, patiently, beneath the endless sky, night stretches wider now, deep and unhurried, wrapping the land in a quiet that feels earned rather than imposed. The doctor sleeps more deeply in these hours, his breathing slow and steady, the day finally releasing its hold on his muscles. Outside, the Nile glides past in darkness, unseen but always present, its rhythm unchanged by human rest. Stars hang low and bright, mirrored faintly in the water, as if the sky itself has bent down to drink. In the distance, the sound of a watchman's call drifts through the air, marking the passing of hours not with numbers, but with voice. Time in this world is measured by repetition, by return, by the certainty that what has happened before will happen again. The doctor shifts slightly in his sleep, a faint furrow crossing his brow as dreams pass through him like thin clouds. He dreams of hands and herbs, of papyrus covered in careful writing, of voices speaking softly in the half-light. None of it is sharp, none of it disturbs him. Closer to the river, night creatures move with quiet purpose. A jackal calls once, then falls silent. Insects hum in layered tones, a natural lullaby woven from countless small lives. Somewhere, a household remains awake longer than usual, tending to a newborn or sitting with the sick. And though the doctor does not hear them, their existence is part of the same unseen network that binds the village together. Before dawn, the air cools further, carrying a faint chill that settles on skin and stone alike. The doctor stirs again, half awake, the way one does when the body senses a change long before the mind does. He pulls the linen closer, breathes in, breathes out, and lets himself drift once more. There is no urgency now. The world will wait a little longer. When he wakes fully, it is to the soft grey light that precedes sunrise. The sky is neither night nor day, but something in between, a pause held gently. He rises slowly, joints stiff but willing, and performs the same small rituals as always. Water on hands, water on face, a moment of stillness. Outside, the first birds test their voices, tentative at first, then more confident. This is how days begin here, not with noise, but with agreement. The doctor steps outside, feeling the cool earth beneath his sandals, and looks toward the east, where light gathers quietly. He does not think of yesterday or tomorrow. He stands fully in this moment, breathing, listening, ready. And so, the cycle continues. Another day unfolds, carrying with it all the small uncertainties and gentle repetitions that define a life devoted to care. The doctor will listen. He will touch. He will mix and bind and murmur words older than memory. He will help where he can and comfort where he cannot. We leave him here again at the threshold of morning. As the sun prepares to rise and the Nile keeps flowing, indifferent and eternal, the sun lifts itself slowly now, not in haste, but with the patience of something that has done this countless times before, and knows there is no need to rush. Pale gold spreads across the river's surface, turning mist into light, reeds into silhouettes, and the doctor's shadow into a long, quiet companion at his feet. Morning breathes again. The world opens its eyes, and with it, so does the work. He walks through the village as people begin their day, greetings exchanged softly, not because words are required, but because presence is acknowledged. Children carry water, women grind grain, men shoulder tools worn smooth by years of use. Life resumes its familiar rhythm, and within that rhythm, illness and injury will always find their place. The doctor knows this without bitterness. It is simply how things are. The first patient this morning is a man troubled by his teeth, pain radiating through his jaw, disrupting sleep, souring every meal. The doctor examines carefully, probing gently, aware that little can be done beyond easing discomfort. He prepares a paste of herbs and honey, applies it, and offers advice that blends care with acceptance. Teeth, like time, wear down. Some things cannot be reversed. Still, relief, even temporary, is welcomed like shade on a hot day. As the light strengthens, a mother arrives with an infant, eyes wide, breathing shallow. The doctor's movements slow further, deliberate, respectful of the fragility before him. He checks the child's skin, listens to the breath, feels the warmth. He prepares a mild remedy, barely bitter, and speaks words meant not just for the child, but for the mother too. Fear passes easily from parent to child. Calm must do the same. Hours drift by. The doctor moves from one concern to the next, never hurried, never idle. He treats rashes with soothing pastes, stomach troubles with carefully measured drinks, minor cuts with linen and honey. Each action is small. Together, they form the quiet backbone of community life. As the sun climbs higher, heat returns, familiar but manageable. The doctor pauses, drinks water, wipes his brow. He thinks briefly of the papyri that guide him, the accumulated wisdom of generations, preserved not in stone, but in careful ink strokes on fragile plant fibers. Knowledge here is precious precisely because it is so easily lost. By midday, the village settles again into slower movement. The doctor returns home, rests, listens to the Nile's steady voice, and allows the day to breathe around him. There is no sense of rushing forward. The afternoon will come when it is ready. And so, once more, the cycle holds. Morning into noon, work into rest, care into quiet. The doctor remains at the center of it, not as a hero, not as a figure of legend, but as something far more enduring. A presence. The afternoon returns the way a familiar thought does, not announced, not sudden, but simply present again, resting gently over the land. The sun no longer climbs. It holds its place, warm and steady, as if content to watch rather than command. Our doctor rises from his brief rest with the ease of someone who understands his own limits. Who knows that endurance is not found in constant motion, but in measured effort and quiet pauses. Outside, the village hums softly, not with urgency, but with continuation. Footsteps pass, voices drift somewhere nearby. Water is poured from jar to jar, the sound hollow and rhythmic. The doctor steps back into his role without ceremony, his presence enough to signal that the afternoon may begin. A pot arrives, hands cracked and red from clay and water, complaining of a rash that burns and itches beneath the sun. The doctor examines the skin, nodding slightly, already reaching for familiar ingredients. He mixes cooling pastes, speaks calmly, and applies them with care, fingers light. He advises rest from the river water for a time, though he knows such advice is rarely followed. Still, it must be given. Knowledge unspoken is knowledge wasted. Next comes a man limping heavily, knee swollen from a fall on stone. The doctor helps him sit, tests movement slowly, listening not just to words, but to the body's response. He massages with oil, binds the joint, and offers reassurance grounded in experience. Rather than promise, bones and joints remember injury long after wounds close. Healing here is not erasure, it is adaptation. The air thickens again as the sun leans westward, carrying with it the smell of warm earth and river reeds. The doctor pauses between patients, sipping water, watching dust drift in shafts of light. He thinks, briefly, of how many afternoons like this he has lived, and how many more will pass much the same way. There is comfort in the repetition. It means the world is still turning as it should. A woman arrives carrying a bundle of herbs, asking advice rather than treatment. She wants to know how best to prepare them for her husband's cough. The doctor listens, examines the plants, nods approvingly, and offers guidance. Not all healing must pass through his hands. Knowledge shared multiplies quietly, like seeds scattered along the riverbank. As the afternoon stretches, shadows lengthen, and the light softens once more. The doctor feels fatigue again, gentle but insistent, a reminder that even steady days leave their mark. He tidies his space, preparing for evening, knowing that the most urgent needs often arrive just as the day seems ready to close. He steps outside briefly, looking toward the Nile, watching boats drift slowly downstream, their silhouettes dark against the water's glow. The river has seen countless doctors, countless patients, countless afternoons just like this one. It flows on, unchanged by individual lives, yet sustaining them all. And so the day leans forward again, carrying us gently toward evening, where light fades. Sounds soften, and the work of care takes on a quieter tone. The sun begins its slow descent now, not falling, not retreating, but easing itself toward the western horizon with the calm certainty of something that knows exactly where it belongs. Light grows softer, thicker, as if filtered through honey, and the world responds instinctively. Movements slowing, voices lowering, even the air itself seeming to settle. Our doctor feels this shift deep in his bones. A familiar signal that the day is preparing to exhale. A final cluster of visitors arrives in the warmth of late afternoon. Those who have waited, hoping their troubles might ease on their own. An older farmer complains of dizziness when he bends to the fields, the earth spinning gently but persistently beneath him. The doctor listens, checks his eyes, his pulse, and offers guidance that blends observation with caution. More water, more rest, less strain during the hottest hours. Simple advice, given with care, often carries the most weight. Soon after, a woman brings her husband, who has been troubled by stomach pains, sharp and unpredictable. The doctor prepares a bitter drink, crushed herbs mixed carefully, knowing the taste will linger, but the relief may come slowly. He speaks gently as the man drinks, reminding him that the body is not separate from the rhythm of days and nights, from food and labor and rest. Healing here is not a single act. It is alignment. As the light lowers further, the doctor notices how shadows stretch long across the ground, touching one another, merging, softening edges. Children's laughter drifts past, followed by the low call of someone herding animals home. The village is folding inward, preparing for night. He cleans his hands again, wipes his tools, and arranges his space with unspoken reverence. This act of order marks the nearing end of active work. Though readiness never truly fades, one last call comes just before dusk. A neighbor seeking help for a minor cut that has begun to swell. The doctor attends to it without hesitation, applying honey and linen, murmuring a quiet protective phrase. Even the smallest wound deserves attention. Infection does not measure importance by size. When the task is done, the doctor steps outside once more, standing still as the sun's edge touches the horizon. The sky glows with layered colors, gold melting into orange, then deepening toward red. He breathes in the evening air, cooler now, scented with river and smoke, and the promise of rest. There is no triumph in this moment, no sense of having conquered the day, only the quiet satisfaction of having moved through it with care, of having met each need as it arose, neither rushing nor resisting. The Nile reflects the fading light, carrying it away downstream, as it has done for as long as memory reaches. As twilight gathers, the doctor turns back toward home, knowing that night will bring its own kind of work, even if that work is simply sleep. The day closes gently behind him, like a door eased shut without sound. Night comes back the way an old companion does, without ceremony, without surprise. It settles into the spaces left behind by daylight, filling courtyards, doorways, and the narrow paths between homes with cool blue shadow. Lamps flicker awake one by one, their flames small and steady, casting soft halos that do not chase the darkness away, only make peace with it. Our doctor walks slowly now, his pace unhurried, his body easing into the quieter rhythm that night allows. Inside his home, the air feels calmer, almost reverent. Sounds from outside arrive softened, as if filtered through layers of time. He eats a simple evening meal, chewing thoughtfully, tasting familiar flavors that ground him in the ordinary. Bread, a little oil, perhaps fruit, sweet and mild. Food is not indulgence here. It is continuity. After eating, he sits for a while without doing anything at all. This, too, is part of the day. His hands rest in his lap, fingers still faintly scented with herbs despite repeated washing. His thoughts wander gently, not lingering on any one patient, but holding them all at a distance. Like light seen across the river, he does not replay mistakes or imagine praise. Reflection here is quiet, unforced. Outside, the Nile moves through darkness, its presence known more by sound than sight. Water laps softly against the banks. A boat passes, lantern swaying, its reflection trembling on the surface. Somewhere, voices rise briefly in laughter, then fade. Life continues, even now. Especially now. The doctor prepares for sleep with familiar rituals. Movements repeated so often they require no thought. He rinses his hands and face again, not because they are dirty, but because the act itself signals closure. He lies down, body heavy but grateful, and lets the darkness draw closer. Sleep comes gradually. At first, his mind remains half awake, aware of sounds, of the faint glow beyond the walls. Then thoughts loosen their grip, images soften, and consciousness drifts. Dreams form slowly, shaped by repetition rather than drama. A river, a hand bound in linen, a voice speaking softly. Nothing sharp, nothing urgent. The night deepens. Stars wheel overhead. The land cools further, releasing the last stored warmth of the day. Insects hum in steady patterns, ancient and precise. The doctor turns once, then stills again, breath slow and even. Hours pass without being counted. This is not time measured in numbers, but in cycles, in return. Eventually, in the quietest part of the night, when even the insects seem to pause, the world rests fully. The doctor rests with it, carried by the same rhythm that governs river and sky alike. And though we do not yet see it, dawn is already waiting, patient as ever, ready to begin the gentle unfolding once more. The night loosens its hold little by little, not with a sudden release, but with a soft yielding, as if darkness itself understands when it has stayed long enough. Cool air drifts through narrow spaces, brushing against stone and skin alike, and the stars seem to thin, their sharpness fading as the horizon begins to pale. Our doctor sleeps through most of this change, breath deep and steady, body aligned once more with the slow turning of the world. In the hours before dawn, there is a particular stillness, a quiet so complete it feels almost sacred. Even the Nile seems to lower its voice, its movement felt rather than heard. This is the hour when ancient Egyptians believed the boundaries between worlds were most delicate, when gods listened more closely, when words spoken softly might carry farther than expected. The doctor stirs briefly, sensing the shift, though he cannot name it. He does not rise. He simply turns his face slightly toward the cooling air and drifts again. When he wakes, it is to a light that has not yet decided what it will become. The sky holds a gentle grey-blue, neither dark nor bright, and the air carries the promise of relief from heat. He rises slowly, joints stiff but familiar, and performs the same quiet rituals that have shaped every morning of his adult life. Water on hands, water on face, a pause to breathe. These small acts are not superstition. They are anchors. Outside, the village begins to stir, though softly, as if not to disturb the balance of the moment. A bird calls, tentative at first, then answered by another. Smoke curls upward from an early fire. The doctor steps into this half-light, sandals brushing cool earth, and looks once more toward the Nile. The river reflects the growing brightness, its surface calm, patient, endlessly forgiving. He does not think of the long lineage of healers who came before him, though he is part of it. He does not imagine the distant future, where others might study his world with curiosity and wonder. He simply stands, breathing, present. This day, like the one before it, will bring pain and relief, uncertainty and routine. And he will meet it in the only way he knows. How? With steady hands, careful listening, and words chosen to soothe as much as to instruct. As the sun's first edge appears above the horizon, light spills across stone and water alike, and the world begins again. The doctor turns back toward his home, toward his jars and papyri, and the quiet space where healing begins. Somewhere nearby, someone wakes with discomfort, another with fear, another with hope. And soon enough, they will come. We leave him here, at the threshold of yet another morning, not because the story ends, but because it does not. Days like this have repeated themselves for thousands of years, carried forward by ordinary people doing careful work in an extraordinary world. The Nile flows on, the sun rises again, and the gentle work of healing continues, slow and steady, beneath the endless sky. The morning light settles fully now, stretching across the riverbanks, glinting off smooth stones, touching the tops of reeds, and filtering through simple homes where families begin to stir. Our doctor moves among them again, sandals soft against packed earth, hands steady, senses alert but calm, each step measured, not hurried, carrying the weight of routine and the quiet knowledge that healing is as much presence as procedure. The first visitor of this new morning is a young woman with a persistent cough, wheezing lightly, eyes tired from sleepless nights. The doctor listens carefully, examines her chest, feels the pulse of her breath, and prepares a mixture of herbs to soothe irritation and ease the tightness. He murmurs quietly, not loudly enough to frighten, but just enough to comfort. For words themselves are a medicine in Egypt as old as papyrus. He instructs gentle rest, fresh air near the river, and careful feeding. Not because these are miraculous, but because they restore rhythm to the body that has been disturbed. Soon a farmer arrives, his legs stiff from a fall into a shallow ditch while tending fields. He leans on a friend, silent with pain and embarrassment. The doctor kneels beside him, examining the joint slowly, flexing gently, massaging with warm oils that have been left to soak in sunlight. Pain is eased first by touch, then by careful application of remedies, and finally by the calm certainty of hands that have done this hundreds of times before. The farmer watches silently, trusting the rhythm of care more than any promise. By mid-morning, the sun lifts higher, warming the village but not oppressively. A child is brought to him, crying softly, the skin marked with small red pustules. Smallpox or perhaps chickenpox, the doctor cannot yet tell, but he treats gently, applying cooling pastes, advising cleanliness, and whispering protective words that carry comfort more than cure. The mother listens intently, trusting the familiarity of his presence. Between patients, the doctor pauses, standing in doorways, feeling the breeze from the river, smelling reeds, smoke, earth, and herbs mingling in layers that define the scent of his world. Time does not rush here. It moves in gentle currents, like the Nile itself, carrying everything forward steadily, quietly, without judgment. A messenger arrives, bringing word of a minor accident at the construction of a new granary. The doctor follows, prepared with his modest kit, knives, linen, ointments, and knowledge carried in memory as carefully as any tool. There, a worker has a hand caught between two timbers. The skin is torn, bleeding darkly. The doctor works slowly, cleaning, dressing, murmuring protective phrases, applying honey and crushed herbs, binding with care, listening to the worker's breathing, steadying fear as much as injury. As the day progresses, shadows shift again, stretching longer across stone and earth. The doctor moves from task to task with quiet persistence, hands stained faintly with herb and resin, clothes carrying the soft scent of work. Each patient leaves a trace in memory, a small narrative recorded silently alongside those already held from yesterday and the day before. The late morning drifts into the heat of noon, when the air becomes dense and heavy, and the village slows into shade and quiet murmurs. The doctor pauses briefly to eat, simple bread and oil, water cooled in the morning air, letting the body recover enough to continue. There is no ceremony, no hurry, only the rhythm of care maintained steadily. And as the sun reaches its zenith, the doctor rises once more, ready to meet the next wave of quiet stories, small injuries, whispered fears, and tentative hopes. Each is treated with the same steady hand, the same calm attention, the same enduring patience that has defined his days for years, and will continue to do so for many more. The afternoon arrives like a slow exhale, the heat easing just enough for movement without strain. The sun mellowing, touching walls and earth with softer gold. Our doctor steps outside again, sandals brushing dust, hands lightly stained from morning remedies, body attuned to the quiet rhythms that govern his world. Life flows around him in muted patterns, children playing near the river, women carrying water in clay jars, men moving slowly in the shade, all caught in the same gentle pulse of time. A farmer approaches first, carrying a small bundle of reeds and a hand wrapped in cloth. He has been bitten by a snake while tending his fields, the puncture swollen, skin darkening. The doctor kneels beside him, carefully unwinding the linen, examining the wound. He applies poultices mixed with crushed herbs and honey, binding with fresh cloth, whispering softly as he works. The snake's venom is feared, but the doctor's hands are steady, his knowledge precise, blending observation, practice, and ritual. The farmer watches silently, a thin line of relief softening his features, comforted by presence more than promise. Next comes a mother, holding a child with fever burning behind wide eyes. The doctor listens to the cough, feels the skin, senses the rhythm of breathing. He prepares a cooling draught, bitter yet soothing, speaking gentle words meant to calm both body and mind. The child drinks slowly, leaning into the mother's chest, the fear easing little by little. Outside, birds call softly, reeds whisper, water flows endlessly, carrying small sounds that soothe beyond what human hands can do. As shadows stretch across the village, the doctor tends to minor cuts, burns, rashes, and ailments that have accumulated through the morning and early afternoon. Each patient receives the same careful attention, the same measured gestures, the same quiet presence that has become his signature, even when remedies cannot completely heal. He eases suffering, and in this world, that is its own profound reward. The smell of herbs, resin, and faint smoke mingles in the air, layering atop the earthy scent of dust and river, creating a perfume that is uniquely his environment. He moves among it like a familiar melody, aware of each note, each texture, each subtle shift in tone. Knowledge here is not only in the papyrus or words, but in touch, in smell, in the rhythm of daily life, in the way light falls across skin and soil alike. As the sun begins its descent, painting walls in warm amber, the final patients arrive, bringing small injuries or ailments that cannot wait for tomorrow. The doctor meets each with calm hands and steady voice, his mind anchored in centuries of tradition, observation, and quiet devotion. A scraped knee, a mild fever, a sore back, none too large, none too small, each met with the same enduring care. Finally, with the last tasks complete, he tidies his workspace, ranging jars, wiping tools, rolling papyri carefully. Outside, the river catches the evening light, flowing endlessly, patient, eternal. He steps outside briefly, letting the air wash over him, listening to distant voices, to reeds brushing in the gentle breeze, to water lapping softly against the banks. The day leans toward night. The village quiets. Lamps flicker on. The doctor allows himself a moment to simply stand, breath even, body calm, senses drinking in the last warmth of the sun, the first whispers of evening. Twilight spreads slowly across the land, a soft veil of purple and gold descending upon walls, reeds, and water. The sun has long passed the horizon, leaving behind a gentle warmth that still lingers in stone and earth, fading gradually as shadows stretch long and patient. Our doctor walks slowly through his space, hands slightly worn, fingers faintly scented with herbs, eyes attentive yet calm, moving in a rhythm shaped by decades of practice. The day is drawing to its quiet close, and with it comes reflection as much as care. A final patient arrives just as dusk touches the rooftops. A small boy with a scraped hand from climbing near the river. The doctor kneels beside him, examining the wound carefully, cleaning with water, applying honey and linen. His voice is soft, rhythmic, each word a gentle reassurance that pain will ease. That healing comes slowly and steadily. The mother watches, comforted by the same steady presence that has guided countless others. The boy's cries lessen, then fade, and the doctor wraps the hand with deliberate care. With that last task complete, the day's work truly ends. The doctor washes his hands once more. Ritualistically, though the scent of herbs lingers faintly, a reminder of the care extended through the hours. He tidies tools and jars, rolls papyrus scrolls, sets everything in its place. Order, after all, is part of medicine. It is a calming force, a bridge between knowledge and action, a quiet anchor at the close of a long day. He steps outside, taking in the deepening night. The river glistens faintly under a sky where stars begin to appear, mirrors of light reflected on its slow-moving surface. A breeze drifts across him, carrying the scent of water, reeds, and distant smoke, mingling with the remnants of herbs and ointments. The world is quiet now, held in a gentle balance, the rush of the day replaced by rhythm, by hush, by continuity. The doctor pauses to breathe, to feel the steady flow of life around him, to recognize that this quiet work, repeated endlessly, is its own kind of eternity. Even as he walks back inside, lamplight warm and steady, he senses that the river flows on. The village rests, and tomorrow will return with the same gentle rhythm. He sits briefly, eats lightly, and prepares for sleep. Body heavy, mind calm, he listens to the faint nocturnal chorus, frogs and insects. The gentle lap of water against the banks, a distant boat sliding along the river. The day's stories settle round him, not as burdens, but as threads in the enduring tapestry of life in this sun-baked land. Finally, he lies down, linen drawn close, breath even, eyes closing. The world holds him gently, as he holds the world in return through years of steady care. Night deepens, the Nile whispers endlessly, and the doctor sleeps, ready to rise again with the sun. We've walked this doctor's full day through ancient Egypt, from the first hint of dawn to the quiet embrace of night. We followed his hands as they soothed, his voice as it murmured, his mind as it measured, healed, and comforted. Life in this sun-baked world moves slowly, not because it is idle, but because it knows the value of patience, of rhythm, of gentle persistence. As the stars mirror the river, and the scent of herbs mingles with the night air, remember that these moments, though long past, continue to flow in the quiet echoes of human care, the soft repetition of healing, the steady pulse of time itself. The Nile flows onward, carrying with it centuries of quiet work, of knowledge preserved, of hands extended in care and compassion. Thank you for joining this long, gentle journey. If you found comfort in this quiet passage through time, you can like and subscribe, and leave a comment sharing where you are listening from, or the hour that brings you here. Let the river of the past soothe your thoughts. Let the whispers of ancient streets and herb-scented rooms lull your mind. The day has ended. The doctor sleeps, and so, softly, peacefully, we leave him beside the eternal Nile.